14 and we'll start at 9. Alright, because this is kind of going to say the same thing it said in Thessalonians. Alright, which is more proof that the New Testament and the Old Testament go together. Alright, the Old Testament ain't done away with. Okay, it says here, Isaiah 14 and 9. Hell from beneath is moved to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. Who's that talking about? Who is everybody being stirred against? Who is everybody rising against right now? The so-called white man. Alright? These crackers are all over the world getting into starting stuff, alright? Causing sedition amongst people, alright? Causing insurrections and stirring all kinds of stuff up. So now the nations are like, hold up. Now we see who the problem is. It's the so-called white man. It's America. Alright, because when that whole them riots in Egypt popped off, alright, this showed there were canisters of tear gas that were used against the rioters, and it said made in the USA. So they know that's just a little proof that you Edomites, alright, had hand in what's going on over there. As well as you instituting a damn no-fly zone in in Libya, and then you shoot down a plane, and then you send foot troops over there. Alright, it's America. It's the UN. Alright, it's the beast. It's the so-called white man. Alright, verse 10. And they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou become as weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Why? Because now they have the same nuclear capability that America had at one point, and still has. Alright, the other nations got that now. Alright, verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Alright, and that word there, Lucifer, means light bearer. Alright, going to the definition of Lucifer, it means light bearer. Alright, people like to say Lucifer is Satan. No. Alright, because when you go to over there in Manhattan, that whore in the harbor, alright, the Statue of Liberty, which was basically a gift from the French Freemasons to this place, alright. And what does she have in her hand? She's holding up a torch, alright? Because this America, this damn wicked ass country, is supposed to be the beacon of light for justice in the world, alright? Which is not. It's alright. It's a beacon of wickedness. That's what it is, alright? Verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above all the stars of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Alright, and it said that something similar, and we read in 2 Thessalonians the 2nd chapter. Alright, it says, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Meaning now your heaven that you're living in right now, you're going to be in hell. Alright, not burning. You're going to be in our heaven. Alright, which is going to be hell for you. In the kingdom of heaven, you're going to be in slavery. Alright, verse 16. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, and saying, is this the man? Didn't it say the same thing going back to 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter? Alright, that man of sin shall be revealed. Alright, says, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, and did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, and opened not the house of his prisoners? Hey, because America is one big prison. Alright, it's just one giant damn prison. Alright, proves you can't, if you're of the nation of Israel, if you're a Jake, alright, they're gonna make, if you got what, any kind of I don't know if it's misdemeanors or felonies, if you got any kind of dirt on your record, alright, on your rap sheet, they're gonna give you hell trying to get a passport to go to another country. Alright, and then not only that, this country has what, 5% or so of the world's population, but it has over a fourth of the world's prison population. And guess who is locked up in them prisons? Israelites. Alright, Israelites. Alright, who they call the so-called minority, which is nonsense. Okay, it says oh, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I need on that. Alright, so now let's go to Revelation 12 and 1. Okay, Revelation 12 verse 1. Alright, we don't need that anymore. Revelation 12 verse 1. Let me scroll down. It says, I'm going to basically read the whole chapter. Alright? And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head 12 stars. Alright, and that's talking about Israel. Alright, the nation of Israel, because Jeremiah 6 verse 2 says that Israel is likened, or the daughter of Zion is likened unto a comely and delicate woman. Okay, and those 12 stars represent the 12 tribes of Israel. Alright, you can even get that going back to Genesis 37. Okay, and I'll post it up so you can see it. Verse 2. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon. Now we're going to get into who this great red dragon is as we keep going. Having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. Who's that talking about? The beast. Alright, NATO. Alright, which would at this point in time be known as NATO. Alright, but who's it headed up by? The so-called white man. Alright, which during this time period, that during the Lord's time, who was in power? Rome. Alright, verse 4. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it were born. What's that talking about? Alright, going back to the time when the Lord was coming, because that was the child, alright, which we're going to get to. It says in the next verse, you can see, during the time when the Lord was born, alright, Herod, who was an Edomite, put out the decree to kill all Hebrew Israelite children that were under the age of, I believe, 2 or younger. Alright, basically if you're just recently born. Okay, because he knew that the Messiah was going to come during that time. Okay, so he put out that decree to basically kill all the Israelite babies in hopes that he would get the child mentioned here. Alright, but according to prophecy, it wasn't going to happen. That's why Joseph and Mary, for you assholes out there, Joseph was Mary's husband. Alright, the Lord put the spirit on them, basically sent Gabriel to them to tell them to go to Egypt, which is more proof that, like we said earlier, in regards to Deuteronomy 28:68, you don't need boats to go to Europe. I mean, Egypt, Salakia. Alright? Verse 5. Oh, and another thing that proves that the Lord was a so-called black man, because why would he tell them to go to Egypt? There are other so-called dark nations there. He would fit in better. Alright? And Joseph and Mary would fit in better too. Alright, verse 5. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto the Most High and to his throne. Hey, that's talking about Yahweh Shai, right? Because when he comes back, he's going to rule all nations. It says when he comes back, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess that he is the Lord. Okay? He's the one that's going to be ruling. Alright? And under him is going to be the nation of Israel, the governing body of the nation of Israel. Alright? It says, and her child was caught up unto the Most High and to his throne. And it says, and the woman fled into the wilderness where she had a place prepared of the Most High, that they should feed her there 2,260 days. Alright, now when you do the math, I forget exactly how to do it, but when you do the math, alright, you it comes out to about 350 years. Okay? And it's basically gonna say the same thing later in the chapter, but I always forget how to do the math. But this adds up right here to 350 years basically. Alright? What's that talking about? It's talking about how we fled when the Romans came in and basically sieged Jerusalem, and you had a lot of Israelites feeding. I can't even talk right now. Fleeing out of Jerusalem, alright, and they went to places in Africa, alright, Western Africa, mainly, alright, and then eventually we got brought to America, alright,